Welcome to On Campus with CITI Program, the podcast where we explore the complexities of the campus experience with higher education experts and researchers. I'm your host, Ed Butch, and I'm thrilled to have you with us today. Before we get started, I want to quickly note that this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not designed to provide legal advice or guidance. In addition, the views expressed in this podcast are solely those of our guests. Welcome to this month's episode. Today, I want to explore a topic that is professionally and personally significant to me: international partnerships. So today's guest is Dr. Paulo Mussi Agusto, Associate Vice President for Global Education at Kent State University. Welcome to the pod, Paulo.
Thank you so much for the invitation, Ed.
Of course. So excited to talk with you about some of this. Just returning quickly to the importance of this, to me, Paulo and I actually spent many years collaborating to establish the American Academy, which is a 2-year liberal arts program and a partnership between Kent State and the Pontifical Catholic University in Curitiba, Brazil. So today, I really wanted to have that conversation about partnerships in general, but also get into a little bit about the American Academy, of course, since that is really where the foundation for our professional relationship started. So I guess really, to start us off, Paulo, can you just share a bit kind of about your background and how you got involved in international higher education?
So, So going back, so I'm from Brazil, actually. So I spent my whole life there. I just moved to the United States, but I spent my whole life there, and I graduated with a business degree. And I pursue after that a master's and a PhD in business as well. And not my plan, but I end up teaching at a university after a PhD. It wasn't my plan, but I was teaching at the Pontifical Catholic University of Parana, teaching business. And the university was facing at that time some difficulties, some challenges, and they invited me to become the planning director, the strategic plan director for the university. And I enjoy the world of higher education in a way, so I kind of dig into that, combining my role as a professor and then trying to understand better how higher education functions. And then from that point, I went to other roles at the university. I ended up being the provost of the Pontifical Catholic University for 8 years almost. And one thing that strokes me in Brazil higher education is the difference that Brazil have in comparison to the United States. So Brazil higher education is mostly vocational training. It's completely directed to professional training for market jobs, for the job market. Right. So usually the students only have this professional training disciplines connected with the profession that they choose when they are in the high school. So because they even enter the university attached to that pathway. Right. So, and I said, no, we need to do something different. And then when we start discussing this with you and Kent State, you were involved in this, and we present the idea of developing the first, I would say, liberal arts program in Brazil. And we did that through the partnership with Kent State, and it was amazing to launch that. So, and at that point, and you need to go back a little sometime if professors are something crazy, because if you ask one question, they start talking and you don't
do experience so much.
But you need to understand the history of Brazil. Brazil went through a long period of a military dictatorship. And what happens in that period, it was that Brazil was a very close country. It didn't have a lot of international relations. Almost 30 years, more than 30 years, actually. So everything in Brazil was just self-oriented. So we didn't have a lot of international relations. And during that time that we are planning and trying to advance, I saw the need that we need to connect with a broader scenery, a broader landscape of what's happening, what's going on with other universities. Because in the end, what we deal in the university, and especially higher education, is knowledge. And knowledge doesn't respect borders or languages. Knowledge is a human trait. So that's what pushed us to more international orientation at that time.
Definitely. And I want to go back because, for me, when I was, starting as we were really getting into the first steps of creating the American Academy, the fact that in high school in Brazil, students are taking the what's the national test again?
Vestibular,
The
vestibular.
vestibular.
Yeah,
They're taking the vestibular, and they're going, if they want to become a doctor, they're basically going into medical school from that first year out of high school, which
yeah,
to us here in the States, obviously is unheard of. So I completely kind of understood why this liberal arts concept could be something that would be fantastic for students, because just like 18-year-olds here in the States, there's a lot of
yeah,
students that don't know what they want to do,
yeah,
at that time. So giving
yeah,
them that opportunity, I think is fantastic. So
yeah,
it's a very interesting difference
yeah.
that I don't think we always think about here in the States.
Yeah, because ultimately, if you look into the higher education system around the world, there you can put them in two different models: the French model and the Humboldtian Anglo-Saxon model. That
Hmm.
is what's happening here. But the French model, Napoleonic universities are where the undergrad determines the profession that you're going to follow. So a medical school is directly connected with the high school, not after the undergrad. So you go directly to the profession that you want. So that puts a lot of pressure in the students, because not only they need to decide where they're going to, which university they're going to apply, but within that university, which program they're going to apply, because the
Right.
competition is between each program. You don't apply to a university and they get accepted for their university. You get accepted for that particular program.
Yeah.
And if it happens that you don't like that program, oh, I entered this program, I don't like it. Then if you want to change, you need to go through the process of selection again.
Right.
And you lose almost every credit that you earn on those programs, because they're so specific that usually you cannot transfer that credit to other programs.
Yeah.
So imagine if you're a 16-year-old, 17-year-old, and you need to decide your whole future based on that. Of course, it's a lot of pressure. And what
Right.
happens? We have a 50% ratio of students that actually are not happy with their choices, because they are not mature enough to make that choice. They don't have the information, because sometimes we only have those traditional professions in our minds, so lawyers, but then there's a whole world of opportunities there, and they don't only get a grasp of that when they enter it, but that's too late.
Right. Right.
So that's one of the benefits of this new model that the liberal arts actually offer for them. Not new, it's actually old. It's old, but it's new in the Brazil context.
Right, exactly. Well, it's interesting because thinking about those two different systems, obviously that's why, at least here in the States, and when I was at Kent State, why we looked at a lot of these other countries and partnering with a lot of institutions in these other countries that have more of that, so that we can help bring that liberal arts aspect. So
Mhm.
obviously you were in Brazil, while other than like the year or so that you were here in Kent helping
Yeah.
us create it, but you were still in Brazil during that time,
Yeah.
for most of it. So I guess as it went through in just kind of in general, how do you really see local communities and students and faculty that really kind of benefit from collaborations like this with a U.S. institution potentially?
Yeah. I think that's one of the biggest benefit of collaboration is actually expanding the horizons of everyone.
Yeah.
And in a world that needs this, I would say, global mindset it's you cannot measure the impact of that with the community or everything, because you're pushed to have the different worldviews, different perspectives, different ideologies, and you need to learn how to live with them and how to collaborate with someone that is different from you, who thinks different from you. And then you design and develop skills to do that. And that's actually what global education needs and means. It means that you're able to navigate in any context. How can I navigate in different contexts if I never exposed to different contexts before? If I only live in my own corner in the world and don't connect with anyone that thinks different, that are different from me, physically, mentally, culturally, and then you don't develop that, because this is an experiential learning, and that's one of the biggest benefits of global partnering and having international connections within the context of higher education.
Yeah, it was always interesting when because I did recruiting at Kent State a lot for my role when I was there. and having conversations with students and parents about the possibility of studying abroad and kind of the different terms. And some students and parents, totally understood and got why we would have that as an opportunity. Others not as much, and trying to explain that and be like, yeah, we want them to get out there. We want to experience, even if it is a short term trip for a week or 2 or 3 weeks. Like, it's still getting a student out there and getting those different experiences, even if they never travel again. Then, but they still are going to have those experiences that they can really draw on then at that point.
Yeah. And it's almost that at the same time, because we are offering something to them that they don't have anything similar to compare to.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to do. So when you offer something that, because usually when you have a choice, you have some things that that you can compare and have a grasp. Oh, I'm choosing this because that and that and that. So I have some reasons to it, to put it in a line, and then I will, I choose this because of that and that and that. But when you offer something new that they don't have anything like similar to compare, it's hard.
Yeah.
So it was in our case, and it still is, one of the jobs that we have, not only to recruit students, but actually to educate them about what they could gain through enrolling in this kind of program. Because sometimes they don't understand, they don't see the need for that, because they're not exposed enough to international context to understand that they need. So we need to educate them that they need something different, and then we need to provide them something different at the same time.
Right.
But the one thing that you mentioned is super important, and I always say that because there is, I forgot the name of the author, but the author, one sociology author said it, the best way to know yourself is traveling and being outside their comfort zone.
Yeah.
It's interesting because you think that traveling and being exposed to different contexts you'll gain access to different contexts, but what you gain most is actually knowledge about yourself.
Yeah.
Because when you're exposed to something different, you start, oh yeah, why I'm thinking this way, why I'm behaving this way, why I have these values. Because then you confront yourself with the different person, the different content, different values, different culture. And then you start reflecting about your own identity, your own ideas. And then you make some of them more solid, some of them you can change, and you can grow. And that's, I think, one of the biggest opportunities that we are offering with global education for these students.
Yeah, exactly. And really, even just simple things I always would talk about in terms of just kind of building self-esteem, like when you're in a different country where you don't know the language, and like learning to travel within that country, right? How do you get, determine what subway, metro stop you get off, or whatever it might be? Just those little things, as you do all of those on a daily basis, like it's building some of that self-esteem as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, good.
So I wanted to, obviously go a little bit into the American Academy a little bit more. And kind of that, when we talked a little bit about what motivated that creation, but as you were the vice rector or provost at that time, I guess what was really kind of that overall kind of, we need to do this with Kent State and make this program happen. I guess what was that kind of that piece that really brought that together?
Yeah, what happened is we were doing our strategic plan for the university, and we said that, we need to do something different. We need to provide a different academic journey for our students. And after a lot of discussion, we thought, no, we need a liberal arts program. We need something like that. We don't have anything like that in Brazil, and we need a full liberal arts program for our students. And not a full liberal arts degree. That's not the case. Was not the case, but at least a liberal arts foundation for our students, like a entry to the university through this funnel of liberal arts, and then they can go through to professional programs.
Right.
And we decided this is what we are doing, and then we said, okay, but we don't have any experience on doing this. And at the same time, liberal arts is connected with a long tradition of international thinking as well. Maybe here's an opportunity not only for us to establish a new program in liberal arts, but to bring this international component at the same time. And then we looked into our partners and we said, oh, maybe we should do this in a partnership with some universities. And Kent State and PUC-PR, which is the an acronym for the university, Pontifical Catholic University in Parana, had a long partnership already, but a regular one. So where student exchange, some faculty-led programs. So we had that for some years before. And I was visiting Kent State for, like, partners usually visit to keep the partnership alive.
Right.
And then we sit down and I present this idea to Marcello Fantoni, who was vice president at the time, and to Todd Diacon, which was the provost at the time. Now he's the president, but he was the provost. And I think they immediately understood the value of that. Of course, Marcello for the international opportunity, and Todd. Not only Todd understood that, because Todd was a Brazilian, he has written history about Brazil. So he understands about Brazil and the value of that proposition for the Brazilians.
Right.
So I think it was a good match in this way. So we decided, I would say to you right away, that, okay, let's pursue this. Of course, the immediate decision, it's not an easy project. Of course, it took a long time for us to sit down, and you were key to this process. We developed curriculum. We met several times. I came here to spend 8 months designing the curriculum, designing every aspect of the program. But I think the connection was two institutions, even though they are completely different in terms of establishing. One is a private Catholic university in Brazil. Another one is a public university in Ohio, United States, but they have similar values in terms of welcoming environment and pursuit of excellence, and the idea of having more global footprint and to infusing in its students a different mindset. So that I think having those same values, same prepositions, I think it helped a lot us to move forward and actually develop a very.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's interesting to think about that. The provost, Todd, at the time, who's the president now, just having had a background in Brazilian history.
Yeah.
And obviously Marcello, who is a huge proponent of anything international education and everything, and just seemed to work. And as soon as I joined in, the project got started. I mean, it was just like we had been working together for so long. It just worked. And that's the type of partnership you want, right? Where you can you can have conversations, tough conversations sometimes, to be able to figure out what's really happening and how the universities are going to benefit. And I think that's another important point is we had to really figure that out, right? As to how is this going to be a benefit for both PUC-PR and Kent State as well, right? So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. I'll talk about that, but I want to go back one step before going to talk about this, because partnerships, of course, is our institutional partnership, but always go down to people, as you mentioned, Todd. So if you have the right person, right people doing this, that's going to happen. You need the right persons to make the partnership, because partnerships are based on trust.
Yes.
If you trust the partner, that's the things goes smoothly. If you don't have it, it doesn't matter how good university are, how good the product, it's not going to happen. So you need the right people to do this. But the benefit, I think that's another thing. Partnerships only remain, you can establish a partnership with only one side gaining something, but it's not going to last, and it's not going to achieve the goals that you want to. Partnerships needs to be a bilateral agreement that will benefit the both partners.
Yes.
In a way that both partners can see the value of keeping that partnership alive, because partnership is always, I like to make an analogy, like it's building a bridge. But if you build a bridge and nobody crossed that bridge, that bridge is useless. So partnerships is actually building a bridge to connect both institutions, but then you have people on both sides willing to cross that bridge, to meet together and see the benefit of cross. You only cross the bridge because you see some benefit in going there.
Right.
And back. So you need to create what I'm gaining for that. And gaining, of course, in this case, it needs to be financially sustainable. Of course, we need to have some money connected with that, but we need to expose our students with different things. We need to create a better global footprint. We need to understand and grow our own capacity to promote our mission and our vision. So both institutions needs to gain this, and not only institutions, but also the students that are going through the program as well.
Right.
And transparency are super important. So I don't know, a partnership needs to be something that needs to be kept alive all the time.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's not a finish the project and done type of thing.
No. If you finish the project and you sign an MOU, sign a contract, whatever, and then you don't keep making effort to make this thing alive, it's going to fade away.
Exactly. And it's interesting. I do want to mention quickly, just because why I think it was such a unique program as well, is that you wanted to bring this concept, obviously, of liberal arts to the Brazilian students, but and you mentioned like that you didn't necessarily have some of that expertise. So it was actually Kent State faculty that were traveling to Brazil for intensive 3-week courses, one at a time, to teach their general courses. So college writing and intro to American politics and intro to human communications. So the faculty, that was a big portion for Kent State, actually sending our faculty to, to Brazil to teach those courses was a major part of it.
Yeah, and actually this was intentional. So we didn't want to just develop a curriculum. Actually, we developed curriculum, a Kent State curriculum. We are delivering a Kent State curriculum with Kent State faculty going there and delivering the course. We didn't want like a licensing, something, a franchise. No, that's not the case. We want to bring Kent State to Brazil, the true experience of Kent State. And the true experience needs to be not only the curriculum, but actually the faculty that are going there and deliver. And it's interesting because it's like almost like a technology transfer program. So for PR, because going there, expose our students, the students that are in the program, with the Kent State way of doing things, the curriculum, the faculty, everything. At the same time, we expose Kent State faculty to a different environment.
Yes, exactly.
So when they are the majority, I think that I would say 99% of the faculty that never went to Brazil before.
Yeah.
So they learn a lot about different contexts. And what we did also, we paired them, the faculty, we still do this, we pair them with our faculty from Brazil to work collaboratively in some, not in the classroom, but in some projects. So we are giving them more opportunities to develop partnerships, research related, community service, whatever. So they will have a more global perspective as well. And since when they go there to teach, they are out of their comfort zone as well. Not only the students are out of their comfort zone, the faculty,
yes,
they are out of their comfort zone as well. So it's an odd combination.
It is.
Students out of their comfort zone because of different subject, different language, different everything. But in the faculty members, they're in a different country, in a different way to deliver because it's compressed in 3 weeks. So everybody is learning that process. And what we learn, and it's interesting because the module was 3 weeks, you remember this very well. We did that not because we wanted, we thought about, this is going to be a pedagogical way to no. Just to be honest, it was the logistics of delivering the course and that drove us to this 3-week model, because otherwise we wouldn't have the professors, the department sending faculty for a full semester in Brazil. It was going to be too difficult to operationalize this. So we kind of shrink the semester in 3 weeks. But then we learn that this immersive environment of 3 weeks is very great pedagogical. So the students, you see the learning outcomes of our students, Brazilian students, compare the GPA, the average GPA of our Brazilian students learning in not in their native language, compared to the GPA of the same course delivered here in Kent, are higher.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering why this is happening. my guess is actually because of the way that we are compressing and immersive learning is a way better learning experience for the students compared to the spread, and they don't have competing courses that they need to divide their attention and the effort. So I don't believe that Brazilians are smart. No, that's not the case. It's basically because we changed the way that we offer the course, and then we had, I would say, collateral effect that we didn't expect, but it was the learning outcome was better also.
Right, right. And I'm hoping that I can help you with this since I'm picking up my dissertation research again, finally.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is exactly what I'm applying to studies.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get some answers in the next year or so.
Perfect. Yeah. I will be glad to have that answer precisely, not my guess only.
Perfect. But yeah, and going back to what you said about the faculty being out of the comfort zone, I had the great opportunity to go 3 times and teach the orientation course for the first week for the new student cohort. And it's completely out of your comfort zone. I'm sitting through the welcome that you and the rector, the president of the university are doing, all in Portuguese. So I have no idea what's going on, what's being said. And then I hear my name. So it's that interesting experience, even for those of us professionally that are going, not just the student experience as well. So I think that's great. But the great thing is you had such a heavy hand in helping create this and everything. So then you became the director of the American Academy. And I guess what did you really see in those years before you then came to Kent State in terms of some of the outcomes and successes that had happened at that point?
I'll say that there's, of course, I'm biased to say.
We both are probably.
But as you mentioned, so I stepped down from the provost's office to be the person responsible to make this program happen. The first big challenge that we faced was actually making this official in terms of regulation, I would say, because it's a program that is dual enrolled. So we needed to first to assure that we are following all the Brazilian regulations about higher education, and Brazil is crazy, highly regulated. So it took us a long time to get approval from the Minister of Education to run the program. At the same time, here was the first time Kansas was offering a degree, associate of science degree, outside the United States. So we struggled to higher learning commission authorization, etc. So, but a challenge actually opened the door for the future. So one of the benefits that you asked about it, now we can replicate this module in other parts of the world that also needs something like that. So one of the benefits that both institutions, I would say more for Kent State now, Kent State now has a way of doing international partnerships in a different way from that. And it actually leveraged our perspective. Kent State, couple of years ago, won the national prize. Senators
through NAFSA, yes. Yeah. I can't remember the name of it either.
Simon something, but it's an award that about the best global strategy for universities, and Kent State won that award mainly because of the American Academy model. So that's interesting. So it enhanced Kent State global strategy. And for PUC-PR, their international profile as well. So what happened in Brazil, usually people that go to university, they're more local around the region that the university is located. I would say 80% of the people that go to PUC-PR. PUC-PR is a university, the comparable size of Kent State, 30,000 students. And I would say 90% of the students are in that region. The region that the university is at. With American Academy, it changed the profile because it's a so unique program within the country that we see almost 57% of the students are not from that region. They're all over parts of the Brazil. So it benefits a lot to university. It gains a lot of credibility, reputation, and for higher education, nothing is more important than reputation. So the program actually adds a brand that we can advocate, that we are doing some innovative ways of teaching. We are providing the students the best educational experience possible. And then we see what they're achieving. The students are achieving. It's amazing. And the testimonies that we have from them, and how transformative the program is for their lives, is something that that fills our hearts. So I'll say that when you hear the students say that they never imagined themselves achieving what they are achieving, that's totally worth it. All the problem.
It's worth all the work.
Yeah.
Definitely. And the great thing is, I think we've had students that obviously once they finished the 2-year associate degree, that stayed at PUC and finished a degree there. We have others that came to Kent State in Ohio to finish to pursue a degree there. And then even students graduate, go on into other master's programs at other universities or and even in other countries. So I feel like there's been a lot of successes that have been there for sure.
Yeah, and then if you count right now what happens for Kent State, Brazilian students are now the second largest population here, international. And it wasn't the case.
Right.
So now we have India. Of course, India is big because of numbers, but the second largest international cohort of students are Brazilians because of the program.
Yeah.
So that's interesting as well. Another benefit.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you see the students, and they're spread through the world. So because they went here, we opened the world doors for them. So we have students in Europe, we have students in Asia, we have students everywhere. They are still pursuing their careers, masters, PhDs, whatever, or professional careers. Some of them remain here in the United States. Some of them went back to Brazil. It's amazing what they are achieving. So,
yeah, for sure. So I guess as we start to kind of wrap up our conversation, I'm going to zoom out a little bit from specifically the American Academy, and just talk about some of this in general. And I guess, now that you left your role as director to come to Kent State full time as the associate vice president, I guess what really kind of excites you most about what you see for the future of global education and partnerships?
I'll see something. I'll tell you that first. I think higher education is it's actually changing a lot, but I would say in the verge of a major change. In the past, you would say that global or international was a part or component of what universities they do. So we offer some study abroad programs. We have some international collaborations to an era that internationalizations needs to be the center of what a university does. And what does this mean? That everybody needs to travel? No, but we need to address the skill sets of living in a more borderless world is important. And international curriculum, even though the student never travel, they need to understand that the world is bigger. They need to address the biggest challenge, because the challenge that we are facing, the new generation will face, are global challenges.
Yes, exactly.
They're not local. If you're, and even the job market, just going to be very prosaic, and you're not going to be an engineer that always sees Northeast Ohio. That doesn't happen anymore. That's not the case anymore. If you only see your own corner of the world, you're not going to be prepared for the 21st century. So universities that don't embrace internationalization, I think, are actually not providing the best education for their students. So internationalizations need to be the core center of everything, because what I told you in the beginning, we deal with knowledge, and knowledge is borderless. Our main subject is not different kinds of knowledge, but knowledge is something beautiful because it goes through everywhere, and then it transforms us when we grasp different kinds of knowledge. It transforms the students, transforms the universe. But that's tough because universities are in a way they were built to preserve the knowledge
Mm-hmm.
and to advance. But the preserve part sometimes prevent us to changing the way we do things. So universities are not the easiest organizations to be transformed.
That is true. So
Yeah. But the world, societies, the communities needs that change. So we are going to be forced to change in this direction. And I think in the future, some universities will struggle. And that's for sure. They already are.
Right.
The demographic decline is going to impact. Yeah. So it's going to impact everyone. And if you're not embrace this new world, we are going to be left behind.
Definitely. I guess to close out here, I really want to just say, obviously you have so much experience with global education and international partnerships. So if you could give, I guess, just one quick piece of advice to students or to university administrators about international partnerships and opportunities, what would that be?
Go for it.
Simple as that.
Yeah, no, don't limit yourselves. I think one of the craziest things that I hear all the time is we don't have the resource to do this, or I cannot do this personally, individually. So that's too difficult. I don't want to risk. We cannot be risk averse into this new world. We need to take the jump.
Yeah. Not everything's going to work out perfectly.
No,
I know that.
And even if it doesn't work out, it's an educational journey. You're going to learn. And sometimes tough thing is going to happen, but then you're learning, you're becoming better. If you travel abroad and you have a terrible experience, and sometimes it's going to be a terrible experience because you're going to be facing some challenge that you thought you're not able to deal with that. You're going to be alone, but that's fine, because that's going to help you face the next challenge.
Exactly.
And the universities as well. Universities sometimes, when we are facing those changes, big changes in terms of restrictions, then we say, oh, the idea is to protect ourselves. No, that's actually the wrong. We need to expand. We need to find ways to fulfill our mission, because if you understand your mission, and then you need to put all the efforts you have in that mission. And the mission of one university, a good university, is not only to provide jobs for the students. That's part of that. But the mission of a university is to make the world better.
Yes.
That's the mission of a university.
For sure.
And how can we do that? Several ways. Through our students, to our alumni, to the research we do, but actually being an active actor in the society, promoting the welfare, promoting the well-being of everyone.
Well, I think that's some fantastic advice. So everyone should take that for sure.
Yeah.
But I just want to say thank you so much for the conversation today. I think that you and I could probably sit here and have a conversation about the American Academy for hours.
Yeah. For sure.
But thank you, I truly, for all of the insights and everything today. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Ed. Thank you for inviting me again.
Of course. I invite all of our listeners to visit cityprogram.org to learn more about our courses and webinars on research, ethics, compliance, and higher education. I look forward to bringing you more expert guests to discuss what's happening on campus. Special thanks to our line producer, Evelyn Fornell. Production and distribution support provided by Raymond Longray and Megan Stewart.